This is TLV1.
The Tel Aviv Review.
Hello and welcome to the Tel Aviv Review. I'm your host, Gilad Halpern. Every week we bring you conversations with authors about the books and research and other things that we like. And if you like us, please consider becoming a Patreon supporter by going to our homepage. That's tlv1.fm/Tel Aviv Review. Scroll down to the bottom and click the big red button that says Patreon. Click and support us. Some of you have been doing this for months and years, and we simply cannot thank you enough. My guest today is a scholar of constitutional law, the vice president of the Israel Democracy Institute. She has written profusely on constitutional arrangements in Israel before and after the so-called judicial overhaul that the current government launched in January 2023, shortly after its election. Some commentators said that Israel was on the brink of civil war throughout 2023 until the 7th of October attacks, until they came and put the infighting on the back burner. But the government is still in place, and the architects of the overhaul have recently said on more than one occasion that a push to weaken the judiciary has not been abandoned. Professor Suzie Navot, hello and welcome to the Tel Aviv Review.
Thank you, Gilad. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, on a scale of 1 to 10, right, with 1 being completely abandoned and 10 pursued in full force, where would you place the government's plans for the judicial overhaul now in May 2025?
Well, that's a very good question. I would say between 9 and 11.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying that the 7th of October in that respect changed nothing?
It changed the model, the way that the judicial overhaul is pursued. It's a new... It's like you have a new telephone. It's not 1.0, it's 2.0. It's a different way of judicial review. It's not being promoted by passing basic laws, huge amendments to our so-called constitution, but it's being done by appointments and by dismissal of persons and by very small decisions. Some of them are decisions by the government, some of them are very small amendments to regular laws and in a very, very wide spectrum. And the goal is to take over everything, the academia, not only the judiciary, of course, the media and all the gatekeepers. And that's being done very slowly but regularly, meaning that you have every week a new decision that you have to take care of, meaning that you have to explain it to the public and you have to pass and to put forward some opinions about it and what is the danger to democracy and why it has been done before in Poland and Hungary and then it comes to Israel. So it's here.
But can the overhaul be pursued and completed without these big amendments? I mean, as long as the High Court of Justice remains with its powers, which is something that the government has been unable to do, or at least not to the extent that they wanted to.
Indeed.
Is the threat to democracy as big as it was before?
I think so. I think it is. We are in a backsliding democracy. We're going down, slowly, stubbornly, but going down. We haven't stopped this. I think the will of the government to have absolute power. And I think that I would like to say something about our constitutional framework because it's very important for the public to understand that. In every country in the world, you have methods, mechanisms, tools that decentralize political power, meaning that you do not have absolute power in one branch. For example, you have a rigid constitution that provides the way that the constitution has to be amended and provides for yours and mine human rights. You have a parliament of two houses, meaning that the lower and the higher, the lower can say, okay, we want to pass this law, but the higher House of Parliament would say, no, we do not approve it. You have sometimes a president with the right of veto, like, for example, in a presidential system. You have regional elections. You have a federal system. You have even in Europe, international courts that can say, okay, this law, we do not approve it. You are part of the European Union and you cannot pass such a law. Well, in Israel, none of this exists, which means that we do not have a real system of checks and balances, and we do not have a real system of separation of power. And what does this mean? Our Knesset has, by the majority of 61, they have absolute power to do anything they want. Always. It has been always the situation since the establishment of the State of Israel. So you may ask me, okay, if it's always been like this, then what's the problem?
That was my question. Yeah, so it means that Israel wasn't a great democracy in the first place, even before 2023.
No, because you do not need to have these tools to have a democracy. If you have a government that does not abuse its powers and that protects human rights, and you have courts that are, independent and professional, then you don't need to have a rigid constitution. Take, for example, Britain. The British system, take New Zealand, for example. Okay, you cannot say that they are not model democracies. They are, without some of these tools that I have mentioned. But in Israel, until last year's, the rules of the game have been kept. The Knesset and the government did not abuse their powers. And human rights were protected. So when this government was elected, which is a right-wing, whole right-wing, some would say even extremist, they said, okay, yes, we can, like Obama used to say, yes, we can take over. And that is I think the origin or the basis of the judicial overhaul. Yes, we have a majority. And with a majority of 61, you can take over the courts. And you can pass any law that you want. And the only branch that actually limits this power is the Supreme Court of Israel. So this is the first thing that we have to deal with, the judiciary, because it actually limits the power of the government.
Do you think that the constitutional law community in Israel was sleeping on its nose, as it were, up until 2023? And I'm thinking about someone like your colleague Meni Mautner, who was a guest on a podcast a while ago, but his critique of the system came from a liberal perspective, saying that it works, but it's not enough that it works. You need to ground it somehow and consolidate these principles somehow. No, not just because it works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You do need to fix it.
Indeed.
Do you think that an opportunity was missed here and something else could have been done sooner to preempt the situation that we're in?
Well, I think so, yes.
This is a message to you, our most loyal listeners. Beginning in 2025, we will be offering special Tel Aviv Review episodes, usually with a stronger connection to the current news cycle, episodes that are exclusive to Patreon subscribers. Without the ongoing support of our patrons, many of whom really have been with us for months and years, we simply would not be able to sustain the podcast. All patrons will have access to these special episodes, and they can be set up to show directly in Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Support the show by becoming a patron at Patreon. That's patreon.com/Tel Aviv Review, all in one word.